How many of you have been to a pop concert, rock concert, classical concert, and walked away and said that was the best one I ever had? By a show of hands. Everybody. There was a particular genre of music? Was it a particular artist? Was it a particular moment that made it that much more enjoyable? For each of every one of us, it's different. When I was a young boy, not much older than our mascot over here, my father brought me a record player. It was a box with the pickup arm where you put the 45 on the top, you put the lever over, you press the button, the stylus went over, came back, and the record came down. And I thought that was the best thing since sliced bread. And then I started going to concerts, very early age. My first one when I was about 5 or 6 was Cliff Richard and the Shadows with Helen Shapiro. And I fell in love with Helen Shapiro, and I've had a thing for her ever since. And then I moved on, and it was the Beatles in 1965. I got to go see them. That was an experience that's a speech for another day on its own accord. There have been many concerts since then. I've even worked on concerts with Stevie Wonder and Melissa Manchester and a few others. But the concert that left the best impression, the concert that was the best I've ever heard. When Billy Joel first started out, nobody had heard of him. He wasn't really played much on the radio. There were a few songs that were starting to click, but it hadn't got to that where it really hit a roll and everybody knew his name and the songs. This was before Scenes from a Restaurant. I went to see him at the Royal Albert Hall. Now, if you've ever seen a picture of the Royal Albert Hall in London, it is huge. From the outside, it's a rotund red building. And you think, well, no, it can't be that great. I got news for you. You walk in, there is the bowl, as it were, where they would put seats. Then there's a round, which is kind of the next level up. And then just above that was another level. And just above that were the box seats. And just above that were another set of seats. And if you couldn't afford the entry price down below, you stood up in the gods. Now, there isn't a bad seat in the Royal Albert Hall. Not one single bad seat. There's not one that you're sitting there going, I can't see anything. Everybody has a perfect view. And the sound is incredible because they have these they look like half cookies. What are the Bella cookies, whatever they call them? They're round cookies. And the sound is incredible. So I had 2 tickets to see Billy Joel. Billy Joel is where Tom is, and I'm here. He comes out on stage, he's wearing a suit, tie half done, he's got his curly hair, and there was an expectation, but nobody knew what expectation they were going to have. Was it going to be any good, or was it going to be one hit and done? He played for 2.5 hours with a couple of encores. And he came out, and in those days, it was raw. The piano, he lit the place up with his piano playing, to the point where the hairs on the back of my neck were standing up. And he introduced each song with a different story. Now, if you see artists progress, as they get further along in the success level, and they've done more and more concerts, the explanation of a song, well, now I'm going to sing We All Live in a Yellow Submarine. They go out and play Yellow Submarine, or Bohemian Rhapsody, they come out and sing it, and so it goes on. But he explained every single song, and everybody knew where they were at that particular moment. And the beautiful thing was, he would describe events in his life up until that point and how he got to being on stage at the Royal Albert Hall. And he went out and he played. You could hear every single note that he hit on that piano, and his backup group played, whether it was drums, guitar, and the other musicians that he used. And there wasn't a bum note in the whole of the concert. He had a way about him that he reeled you in. He'd be standing there looking at you, and he would reel you in, and you'd be mesmerized by his conversation. Nobody was left out in the room. Even if they were sitting up there, he would look up there and he'd go, you know, I'm also playing for you, even though you're up there and I'm down here. And he would go into a song and he'd start telling a story, and he'd put black sunglasses on and he would light a cigarette. Now you got to imagine the lights are out, the lights are on him and his quartet, and he lights a cigarette and you see the plume of smoke go up, and then he would sit down and he would play, and you could hear a pin drop, except when he asked for the audience participation. And this went on for 2.5 hours. Now I've seen the Beatles, I've seen the Stones, Stewart, Sting, Phil Collins, the list goes on and on and on. I'm not going to go through the whole list because we'd be here forever. But that concert has never been beaten. And I've seen many before, since, and after, because of the style of play, the way he drew you in by looking at you. I'm going to play whatever the song he was going to play, and he drew you in. And you were like, oh, maybe he's just playing this for me, and you'd sit there and you listen. Now, I had a perfect view. It was almost reach out and touch me. But it was the event, not only was it a musical event, but the music, and like I said, every note hit home. It was like watching a baseball player hit 3 home runs in a game, and you go, wow, that was unbelievable. I didn't think I would see that in a game that, I'd watch a guy who I follow in baseball team slug 3 home runs. He was hitting it out the park, and each song was better on merit than the next one, even though it was a group of songs. We go to concerts and we go, oh yeah, well, I paid $50 to go see Joe Schmo. Well, it was okay. He played the hit song right towards the end, and we all walked out, and it was a 90-minute show, and it was all right, But when you go to a concert at the Royal Albert Hall, pop, classical, or any other type of medium, jazz, I've seen jazz concerts there, I've seen big band concerts there, great, but his music really topped it. Will I ever see something like that again? I doubt it. I'm getting older, and I don't know that I want to go sit in a large stadium with rockers, although there's certain groups I wouldn't mind watching, but I don't want to sit in a 20,000 seat stadium to watch them. Music is magical. It lifts us up when we're down. It brings us to a point where we go, oh, I remember that because I was going through this, or this was a joyous time because family, whatever it might be, or I heard this song right after I got a big contract to build or I wrote my book, and guess what? Sting was playing such and such. Each song has a memory for each one of us. It's the magic of music. So the next time you go to a concert, just don't go and say, oh, I paid, $100 for 2 tickets to go see, why, or $300. Yeah. Why were you there? Why did you want to go specifically to see that person? And the reason is because the magic of the music lifts you up when you're not feeling so great, and it levels you out when you're having a hard time. But at the end of the day, you walk away going, I love that song when he played it by blah, 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 and it really got to me. And you go back and you listen to the tunes on your cassette tape or your CD or whatever it is. And when you leave a concert sometimes, you'll hear people playing the songs in their car as they're going home to relive the experience. So enjoy the magic of music, and above all, make it sing. Mr. Toastmaster.